What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. Today, in this video, we're going to be looking at the NFL Top 100 ADP for fantasy football here. I'm using drafters.com. If you guys are unfamiliar with Drafters, it's a best ball servicing website, and you can play, or as you can see here, you can play MLB, NBA, NHL, PGA, and of course NFL. You can also do daily games there. So I did put a link in the description if you're new and want to use my promo code. I think you get like a free $10 if you sign up and deposit $10 or something like that. But anyways, we did a video last month. This month, I'm probably going to do this once a month going forward until it's actually football time. But it's April. We have the NFL draft just a few weeks away. So I wanted to get this video out. That way we have room to breathe. And then we'll do an update one in May with all the new rookies and we know their landing spots and whatnot. So what we're going to do today, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. That's really all we're focusing on here in this top 100. I believe Drafters is set to a points per reception, so 1 full point per reception. I think if you are familiar with Underdog, they use half PPR. So if you guys want me to do an Underdog top 100 ADP, let me know in the comments. But let's get into it. We're going to basically just build our ranking list here. I think it's pretty clear that Jonathan Taylor is the clear 101. And I like that it gives me the averages from last year. So last year he was the top running back, averaging 21.95 points per game in this scoring format. So we're going to go ahead and add Jonathan Taylor. He'll be our number 101. And then after that, you can get a little funky here. Most people prefer Christian McCaffrey, but you look at the ADP of 2.6 to Cooper Kupp 2.8, that's where it gets a little bit different. So if you're nervous about McCaffrey, and I get it, hasn't really been healthy the last season and a half or so, it feels like. And I don't know, man. Cooper Kupp, it's hard to pass on Cooper Kupp as good as he was last year. You can see 25.85 points per game, just insane. You could also argue probably Derrick Henry here, who was playing better than Jonathan Taylor was last year and probably would have been the MVP if he finished the whole year. So 24.16 points per game there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lock in Cooper Kupp because there's questions. You know, McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, I can poke holes in both those guys. Cooper Kupp, I really can't poke a hole other than, hey, he was phenomenal last year. It's hard to repeat. That's really the only thing. It's hard to stack that success. So what I'm going to do here, lock in Cooper Kupp as my 102. And then after that, you're looking at probably the next three running backs here: Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, and Austin Eckler. Now, I like all three of these guys. I think when it's going to come down to risk. Do you trust Christian McCaffrey to be healthy for a full season? Do you trust Derrick Henry to be healthy for a full season? Austin Eckler kind of battled through some things last year. I thought he did a pretty good job making sure he could play in as many games as he did. So all three guys come with injury concerns. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to lock in Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to hope and pray that the Panthers end up with a quarterback in the draft here. Or maybe they go get Baker Mayfield. Who knows? That could really change the outlook here. So if they add some stability to the quarterback position, they improve the offensive line, Christian McCaffrey should be just fine here. So I'm going to go ahead and just to speed things up, let's run in Derrick Henry, run in Austin Eckler. Again, if you're playing PPR, Austin Eckler may be more valuable than Derrick Henry, but for now, we'll kind of go that way. So that's our top five. After that, we can have some fun because that's when some receivers start to come off the board. Justin Jefferson is the wide receiver 1 off the board. Jamar Chase, the wide receiver 2. Not sure if I see him finishing that high. Devontae Adams is now the wide receiver 3. You've got running backs Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook. There's Javonte Williams, Joe Mixon. So this is where it gets a little bit difficult. And I think we're probably going to go with Dalvin Cook here. I know Dalvin Cook didn't have a great year last year. He didn't score a lot of touchdowns. But to me, I'm having a tough time deciding between Jefferson, Chase, Adams. I'm just going to lock in Dalvin Cook. And we're going to end that top 6 and put him in that kind of that 5th running back spot. And then after that, we can poke holes in Najee Harris. Really don't know who the quarterback is going to be there. Javonte Williams, we love Javonte Williams. We just need Melvin Gordon to make sure he signs elsewhere, and then Joe Mixon there. But I think there's kind of a tier below. Let's go ahead and get Justin Jefferson off the board. I think of all the receivers, he is the one that I feel the safest about. One, he's returning to Kirk Cousins. So he's got the familiarity with him. Adam Thielen, don't know if he's going to be able to play a full season, and just with his age, it's going to be even more Justin Jefferson this year. And I'm excited about the new regime there in Minnesota. I think we could see some more fun, especially for airing it out, and we'll see kind of a new offense. So I'm going to put Justin Jefferson here. We got 2 Minnesota Vikings in the top 7. And then after that, mean, Jamar Chase was fantastic last year, 17.92 points per game. I have a hard time taking him over Devontae Adams, though, even though Devontae Adams' touchdowns are going to come down dramatically. They're going to come down a lot, but I still expect him to lead the Raiders in receptions, lead them in yards, and probably, flirt with double-digit touchdowns. So I feel like Devontae is a safer wide receiver pick, but I get the upside with Jamar Chase. And again, his postseason run, man, those 4 games here, really, really strong play. Only 1 touchdown in the postseason too, so it could have been even bigger. But what bothers me is he kind of got a little weird at the end of the season. So week 18 we didn't play. Of course, championship weekend 55.6 is great. The 1.3, the 6.9, the 8.9. I guess I'm really nitpicking. Let's just go ahead and put Jamar Chase there as our number 8th player, and then I'm going to slide in Devontae Adams there as my 9. So we have a run of 3 wide receivers. Choose them as you wish. And then we're going to look at some running backs. I do think with the absence of Tyreek Hill, you could put Travis Kelce here right now. I don't know if I want to take him as a top 10 pick. I think what I want to do here is I want to get Najee Harris and Joe Mixon into I guess, so when I play fantasy football, I usually think about a league with 12 teams. That's kind of my go-to. So technically this could be the last pick in the first round for a 10-team league, but I'm going to go ahead and put Joe Mixon as my number 10. I'm going to put Najee Harris there as my 11. And then we're going to end the round with Travis Kelce. So Mixon, Harris, Kelce, all there finishing our first round. And then I think this is where it gets a little difficult. I kind of want to put Javonte Williams in there. You see his ADP is 12.3. I'm going to have him ranked 13th. And man, like just the Javonte Williams hype train, I think it's going to be probably approaching top 10 probably by midsummer as long as everything's on track here. But he had that little 3-game sample with no Melvin Gordon where he put up 3 straight 20-point games. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to catch passes from Russell Wilson. It's going to be a really good season for Javonte. Probably one of my favorites. So if you're sitting there at pick 11, 12, and you want to get Javonte Williams, you got to do it. Go ahead and do it. But now, I mean, Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, these are some of the best running backs available. I think you're going to see a wide receiver run here. So I'm going to go ahead and get Deebo Samuel in there. I'm taking Stephon Diggs over Tyreek Hill. I do like Tyreek Hill, but I just think I'm going to take the stability of Josh Allen. I still love Tua Tagovailoa for Tyreek Hill, but I just think, man, it's kind of like the Devontae Adams situation. Like if Devontae Adams was with Green Bay, he'd probably be he'd be up there with Cooper Kupp. He'd probably be a 3rd or 4th pick overall, and that knocks him down, a 4 or 5 spots here to wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. And then with Tyreek Hill, he was going to be a fringe top 5 receiver, probably makes him a fringe top 10 receiver. I think I'm taking CeeDee Lamb. I think I'm taking AJ Brown over Tyreek Hill, and then he'll slide in here. So I'm going to go ahead, and especially with Amari Cooper out of Dallas now, I think that elevates CeeDee Lamb a little bit even more for me. So I'm going to put CeeDee Lamb there with the Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs tier. I'll go ahead and put AJ Brown in there as well, and then I'm going to finish that tier with Tyreek Hill. And then we're looking, so Deebo, Stephon, CD, AJ Brown, and Tyreek Hill. That's kind of that second tier of wide receivers here. And then we got a bunch of running backs, which this is going to be fun. You got AK-41, Nick Chubb with Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Swift, who I like DeAndre Swift. I get nervous about his health. I think I'm taking Aaron Jones and Antonio Gibson over DeAndre Swift. But as it lays right now, let's go ahead and get AK-41, who I think, you could argue Alvin Kamara should be up here with Javonte Williams. Like, he's still a running back 1. You got Jameis Winston coming back. He's going to be just fine. And I probably might even do that. So if you want a running back ahead of those guys, I'm not going to knock you for it. And then after that, guys, I think I'm taking Aaron Jones over Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, and Antonio Gibson. Aaron Jones is going to be a rock steady running back 2 this year. With Nick Chubb, again, he's very TD dependent in a PPR format. I don't love it. You can actually see here 15.38 points per game for Nick Chubb, 15.27 for Aaron Jones. Antonio Gibson 14.32 and DeAndre Swift 16.07. So in terms of upside, we should probably put DeAndre Swift here as the next best running back. And I guess I'm going to do that. I guess if you go into your season taking DeAndre Swift, you got to make sure you have some injury hedges. I'm going to go ahead and take Aaron Jones. We'll put in Nick Chubb, and then we'll lock in Antonio Gibson. So that's kind of this big tier of running backs here to finish the end of the second round. I see Leonard Fournette, Saquon Barkley in there. I guess I could add these guys here. I think Saquon Barkley at this range is probably a pretty good value. David Montgomery down here as well, Cam Akers. But let's go ahead and get Mark Andrews off the board. So again, in terms of 12-man leagues, Mark Andrews at the end of the second round, that's pretty easy money. And now, to me, the third round is probably my most favorite round so far of the drafts as we approach picks number 25 through 36. We're talking Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen. To me, all four of those guys are phenomenal round three values. If you wanted DeAndre Hopkins, I can dig it there, but I get a little bit nervous about DeAndre Hopkins. Just it feels like we're at the top of that roller coaster, and we're going to see some decline going forward for Hopkins. Otherwise, Leonard Fournette, Saquon Barkley, really safe. Again, with Saquon Barkley, you got to look at it as it's not going to be as bad as it was last year. I feel pretty good about that. And looking at the numbers, like this, he was a running back too last year, and they didn't have any stability on offense here. You look at the touches, I like that. He's a year removed from his major injury. He's going to be fine. Saquon Barkley, he averaged 11.43 points per game. He's going to be fine. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to put Barkley up there right behind Mark Andrews, and then let's go ahead and get these receivers off the board. And it's kind of a preference call, for PPR purposes. You want a guy that's going to get up to 90 to 100 catches. That's Jalen Waddle. That's Keenan Allen. If you want a guy that's going to have 70 to 80 catches and 1,200 yards and 10 plus touchdowns, that's Evans. That's T. Higgins. So these are preference calls for me. My favorite, I love T. Higgins. If you guys watch my show, you guys know I'm a big T. Higgins guy. So I'm going to put Higgins, Waddle, Evans, and Keenan Allen. I'm kind of just going quickly here. Choose whatever you want. I love all four guys. Again, do you want the big touchdown, big play guy, or do you want the safe, 100 plus catch PPR player? So that's our tier of wide receivers. I would imagine Josh Allen starting to stick out to me here. I'm going to go ahead and just get Josh Allen off the board. As far as running backs go, some of these running backs are starting to stick out. For me, I can poke holes in DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore. We can poke holes in those guys, right? And again, as round three prospects, I think you probably got to get Leonard Fournette off the board. You probably got to get David Montgomery off the board. I'm excited about that Bears offense. I'm hoping they can add some weapons for Justin Fields. But David Montgomery, guys, last year he played great. We know he missed some time, but when he came back, man, he was a steady running back. You see 3 games over 20 points. I like Montgomery here in round 3. I'm also going to whip in Cam Akers there at the 33rd overall here, and I'm going to whip in James Conner. Really nice value in running backs here. Fournette, Montgomery, Akers, and James Conner. We could potentially be looking at Breece Hall, Ezekiel Elliott, J.K. Dobbins, Josh Jacobs, but to me, that's kind of where the questions start, and I think I'm going to leave that tier as is. That's our third round running back tier. But let's go ahead and we could get Mahomes off the board. We could get Justin Herbert. I think I want to leave Josh Allen up there by himself though. Maybe I go to receiver now. Again, this is end of the third round. I'll go ahead and get DeAndre Hopkins out of there. I'll tell you what, DK Metcalf, even with Geno Smith, guys, he played fine. I mean, he did struggle for a few games here in the middle of the season, but otherwise, you got to take him for what he's worth. He's a wide receiver. He's a boom bust wide receiver too. And if you play best ball leagues, I'm totally cool with it. I'm going to put him there as my last pick in the third round, number 36th overall. And then here, okay, let's get Mahomes off the board. We'll leave him in his own tier. And then I'm looking at a bunch of wide receivers here and some tight ends. I mean, Deontay Johnson, don't know who his quarterback's going to be. Chris Godwin, we're hoping he can be ready for week 1 after his, I think it was an ACL injury. Let me see if that is correct. I want to make sure I'm giving you, it was the torn ACL and sprained MCL. So that was week 15 last year. I mean, that's December. That puts him maybe back for September. There could be pup list with Godwin. So again, it's April. If I know more information in August, Godwin could be a 3rd or 4th round pick. But for now, I'm murky, guys. Terry McLaurin, who's the quarterback? It's Carson Wentz. How do we feel about that? I don't know. He made Michael Pittman look good last year, but who knows? And then Amari Cooper. I tell you what, Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, that's the one that I think makes more sense out of this tier. Johnson, Godwin, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin. I want Amari Cooper on my team. And then now we can maybe get into some of the tight ends. I tell you what, I think Darren Waller, now that he's got Devontae Adams, you have to worry about Devontae Adams. People are kind of sleeping on Darren Waller. If you remember, he was a 2nd round pick last year. He played well in the postseason. He finished he finished the season with a 7 for 76 game. I think you're going to see a lot of that for Darren Waller this year, where he's just going to be super steady. You can't double team him anymore, or you're going to get Devontae. So Waller sticks out as far as tight ends go. I can maybe make a case for George Kittle, who Kittle had those those monstrous games down the stretch here. If I look at that, he had that 34-point game against Cincinnati and the Seattle 39.6. So for me, I'm going to put Kittle in that same category as Darren Waller, and those guys round out my top 40. And then we get to some interesting things. So I've covered the questions of Deontay, Godwin, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin. I've covered Kyle Pitts, we haven't talked about that. We don't know who his quarterback is going to be. Don't have any receivers on the team worth a damn. But I'll tell you what, he ended the season really strong from weeks 13 to 17. I would take that production as my tight end one, more often than not. He didn't score touchdowns, only one touchdown all season. But again, rookie tight end, he played well. I don't think I'm going to take him over some of these guys that we're looking at. So we had our wide receiver run. I think you can make a case for McLaurin, DJ Moore, for sure. I like Deontay Johnson, but again, guys, I'm nervous about who that quarterback is going to be. But then I could argue like Big Ben wasn't that good of a quarterback last year. So I'm gonna get Deontay off the board. I'm gonna get I'm gonna take DJ Moore. I'm gonna take McLaurin off the board. We'll get them there. I think I'm going to let Godwin fall to the end of the fourth here, and then let's go ahead and get let's get Justin Herbert off the board. I feel good about him at pick number 44 as I think he's the fourth QB off the board. He's the third QB off the board, and then we have this really fun tier of running backs. One, we don't know where Breece Hall is going to end up. I would imagine he's going to probably be a fringe first round pick on draft night here. You can easily see him. Let me actually pull this up since we're doing a thorough job here. I'm going to go to Tankathon, and I want to look at the early second round. He could be the running back for the Jets, Houston, Detroit, maybe the Jets, maybe Seattle, maybe Atlanta. He's going to probably go somewhere in here. So I have a feeling he's going to get the ball a ton. But for just kicks and giggles, I'm going to go ahead and put J.K. Dobbins. I'm going to rank Josh Jacobs. We'll go Breece Hall. And then we'll go Ezekiel Elliott. So Ezekiel Elliott, the last pick of the fourth round here, it's a volume play. I don't think he's going to be the Zeke that was early in the season. It looked like a good pick, and then it kind of just wore on. I think people got frustrated, in the middle of the season here. Didn't like the output at the end of the year. But I'll tell you what, Ezekiel Elliott's still going to get the touches. He's going to be fine. And now we are starting number 49. That's basically the fifth round. I don't see any running backs that I want to pump up yet. So we're going to go ahead and knock out a bunch of receivers. Let's just get Kyle Pitts off the board in the fifth round. I don't care where in the fifth. I'll get Godwin out of there. I don't have a preference. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. I think there's debate for that. But let's look at these receivers, man. We're talking Mike Williams. Who's going to be the receiver for Russ Wilson? Is it Jerry Jeudy or is it Cortland Sutton? Michael Pittman with Matt Ryan. I think there's a lot of fun when you're talking about these guys. Even Juju Smith-Schuster with Kansas City. Now we're having some fun. I'm just gonna put Mike Williams in there because he had a phenomenal season last year with Herbert. I think he's gonna continue to ball out. I'm gonna go ahead and put. I think I'm curious about Michael Thomas. I still have a sour taste in my mouth about Thomas, but Michael Pittman and Matt Ryan, something feels super safe about that. I don't trust Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'd rather have Elijah Moore. I think at this point, Amon-Ra St. Brown played phenomenal at the end of the season. But he's going to have some competition this year. I think I'm going to take him over some of the bigger. I'm going to take Cortland Sutton. I'm going to take maybe Jerry Jeudy, Michael Thomas, and then I'm going to put him in that same tier of Elijah Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, but not so fast. I'm going to go ahead and get. Let's get Lamar and Joe Burrow off the board. I think we could. We're going to wait on Kyler Murray. We have 3 more picks here at the end of the 5th round. I'm gonna boost Juju in there. Some of these guys are interesting. I think Darnell Mooney should probably be in there. He's going to be the wide receiver 1. But we'll do to round out our top 60, basically our first 5 rounds. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah Moore, lock those guys in their top 60 players. And now we're just going to kind of rapid fire. I think there's a lot of weapons here that could be a lot of fun. The quarterbacks, we tend to wait on those guys, so I'm going to let them filter out. But let's go ahead and get some running backs off the board. Of the 3, Elijah, Travis Etienne, and Michael Carter, I'm not in love with any of these guys. I actually like Damian Harris down here, even Kenneth Walker down here, depending on his landing spot. So for me, I'm gonna go ahead and put Carter in here. We'll put ETN. Still don't trust Elijah Mitchell, but I can put him in here, I suppose. And then we're looking at the receivers: Allen Robinson, Marquise Brown, Hunter Renfrow, Gabe Davis, Darnell Mooney, Devonta Smith. To me, Mooney is the guy. I think Mooney's the guy. Hunter Renfrow is going to dip because a healthy Waller and Devontae Adams, of course. Marquise Brown will get him in there. Let's go ahead and get. It could be a big Allen Robinson season as the number 2 wide receiver there in LA. Again, think about him as, people were taking Robert Woods over Cooper Kupp in that 3rd or 4th round last year. Allen Robinson as the number 2 weapon. Don't sleep on that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I just threw Devonta Smith in there, and then we're kind of going to sit on some of these wide receivers. There's a lot of fun wide receivers later. I'm going to go ahead and get. Let's see here. I don't trust Thielen. I don't like Tyler Lockett. Tell you what, Brandon Cooks, guys, performed well with Davis Mills last year. He played very, very well. Gabe Davis is the number 2 receiver out there in Buffalo. That feels kind of fun. Hunter Renfrow again. I'm gonna downgrade him. Adam Thielen gonna downgrade him. I guess I'll tell you what. I'm gonna whip Gabe Davis in that 6th, 7th round range. Let's knock out some of these quarterbacks. Of course, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Russ Wilson, even Stafford. Just take your favorite quarterback in that 5th, 6th round range. Probably the 6th round feels a little bit better. Let's get some of the running backs that I like off the board. You got Damian Harris. I'm going to take a gamble on Kenneth Walker. Depending on where he goes, he's going to be a round 2 kind of guy. I feel really good about A.J. Dillon. Even though I really like Aaron Jones, Packers don't have any receivers on the board right now. They're going to use 2 running backs. I think that's going to be pretty easy to see after a week or two. But let's keep it looking at the top. I don't like Renfrow. I don't like Thielen. I'll whip Lockett in there. That's fine. Lockett round 7s, whatever. Let's get Cooks in there. Hawkinson and Schultz should be off the board round 7 for tight ends. Now we're starting to get to some of the more interesting bets. I think a guy like Brandon Ayuk, again, depending if it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, that's interesting. But I'm gonna take some gambles on some rookie wide receivers. I think there's a lot of rookie wide receivers starting to pop up here. And again, as we're basically finishing the 7th round right now, I want to make sure I'm getting good quality players. Again, I like Hunter Renfrow, guys, but just not with Devontae Adams there. I don't think there's room for this. And then Devin Singletary, who had the great finish last year. It depends if they draft a running back. They did add Duke Johnson, but let's get these running backs off the board. Singletary, Clyde, Rashad Penny. I suppose Cordero Patterson there. That rounds out our 7th round. We could keep the run going here. There's a lot of running backs here. I mean, Chase Edmonds. We could get Tony Pollard in the 8th, Kareem Hunt in the 8th, Miles Sanders in the 8th, and Isaiah Spiller. That's kind of where it stops for me. Let's go back and look at some of these wide receivers. Let's get the rookies off the board. Treylon Burks, he's going to be a 1st round receiver, probably to a good team. Garrett Wilson, 1st round receiver. Christian Kirk probably needs some love in the top 100. He's going to lead the Jacksonville Jaguars in receptions. Drake London, going to be a really good rookie. Let's get some of those guys in the top 100. Probably check some of these quarterbacks: Rodgers, Hurts, Deshaun Watson. And we got 4 more picks left here in the top 100. I got to go Dallas Goedert. I got to go Dawson Knox. 2 more picks left. All right. This is getting fun. Olave could be a lot of fun. Shout out to Chris Olave. Jameson Williams could be a lot of fun. I'm not really seeing any tight ends that I need to put in here. Michael Gallup, man, he isn't a lock to be available for week 1 action. So we're going to have to watch Michael Gallup. But Kadarius Toney, man, a guy that had a tremendous amount of excitement for a few games last year. If he could put it all together, he could be a really good player. I can't forget that game against Dallas, 10 for 189. That's going to be hanging in my head for a while. You could take a gamble on Rashad Bateman, who as a rookie, playing with Tyler Huntley at the end of the year. I mean, I'm definitely intrigued here. He's going to be the number 2 there. I like that. Could probably take a flyer on Trey Lance at this point. If you want another quarterback, I'll lob Trey Lance in there. And then if I'm going to find one more guy to close out today's show, let's see. I mean, nobody's really sticking out this deep. I don't love anything. I'll tell you what, I'll go Rashad Bateman. Let's get the Baltimore Ravens offense a chance there with Lamar Jackson coming back healthy. So that's it. Thank you for hanging out and watching this video with me. That's my top 100. Again, it's April 4th as I do this, so there's probably going to be a lot wrong. Go ahead and watch the video if you must. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for your time, for hanging out with me. I totally appreciate that. And cool. You guys have a good rest of your night. We'll see you in another video. Peace.